Right, we are at exercise 5, question number 5, and today we are looking at the questions that are going to challenge you a little bit more. So in this question particularly, they gave me a parabola, but they did not give me the equation, which means that the straight line given to me is going to assist me to determine the equation of the parabola. Now, when I do look at the straight lines equation, it was given to me, and the moment an equation is given to me, I can automatically go and work out the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So the x-intercept I know is equal to 0, so 0 is equal to x over 2 minus 7 over 2. And because of the fact that both denominators are 2, the value of x is 7, which means x will be 7 if y is 0, and that also I see is 5.1, where they ask me to calculate the coordinates of C. Right, just by doing that, I am also going to carry on and work out the coordinates of my y-intercept, which means I'm making x 0 and y works out to be minus 7 over 2. So the coordinates for E is 0 and minus 7 over 2. I'm just keeping my sketch up to date as well. So the next question, they asked me to find out the coordinates of the x coordinate, the second x coordinate, which is B. But I don't have enough information at this stage. Another crucial bit that they gave you is that they told you that the line of symmetry is x equal to minus 3, x equal to plus 3, which means that from the midpoint to the right-hand side, which is 3 to 7, is 4 units. Because of the fact that it's a line of symmetry, it will mean that from the left-hand x-intercept to the middle, it will also be 4 units, which means I can answer 5.2 using lines of symmetry, which means 3 minus 4 will give me B with minus 1 and 0. Also, that line of symmetry indicates to you that my turning point has an x coordinate of 3, which leads into the next question, because in the next question they ask you to write the equation of the parabola in the form that you need the turning point of. Now, what do I have at this stage? I don't have a complete turning point, so I can't just plot it into that formula. I do have 2 x-intercepts and a y-intercept, so automatically I have to know my theory, and I need to write down y is equal to x minus x1, x minus x2. Because in there, I know, first of all, I have 2 x-intercepts. So one is at minus 1, so I had to have plus 1. The one is at 7, which means it had to be minus 7 inside. Then I have my y-intercept, which is 0 and minus 7 over 2. So minus 7 over 2 is equal to A. 0 plus 1 is 1, and 0 minus 7 is minus 7. So minus 7 over 2 equals negative 7A. So, minus 7 over 2 divided by negative 7 gives me A has a value of a half. Therefore, a half times x plus 1x minus 7 is the equation of the parabola, but that's not where I want to be. I need to get to y equals a times x minus p squared plus q. What I do have, but first I'm going to quickly do binomial times binomial. Minus 7 plus 1 is minus 6, and that's minus 7. If I distribute the half in, I get a half x squared minus 3x minus 7 over 2. So this is the equation of the parabola. I know my x value is 3. Can I not work out the y value now? Yes, I can. So half times 3 squared is 9. Minus 3 times 3 is minus 9. Minus 7 over 2. Oh, it's not 3. Yeah, it's 3 times 3. So if I put that in, times 9 minus 9 minus 7 over 2, I get the y coordinate of my turning point is negative 8. So that means what? I have a value of a p value, it's at plus 3, so I'm going to write minus 3 squared, and a q value of minus 8. And that is my answer for 5.3. Okay, so I've done 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. Write down the equation of graph H, which is the reflection. So 5.4, H is the reflection over the x-axis. Now if I have x, it's going to involve every one. So I need to times it by a negative. So it's going to be minus times, I can use either one, a half times x minus 3 squared minus 8. So I can have minus a half x minus 3 squared, and the minus distributes there and there, plus 8. Or you could have said, hold on, I don't like using this formula, I'm going to use this one. Or you could have even worked it out furthermore. Or you could have used this one. So you could have said it will be a minus times a half x squared minus 3x minus 7 over 2. So it is a half x squared plus 3x plus 7 over 2. Either one of these two will be correct. Okay, that's 5.4. Then they say determine the maximum value of tx if tx is 1 minus f of x. Okay, so I'm just going to do this so that we can still work. So tx, that's 5.5, is 1 minus f of x. So I will have 1 minus a half times x minus 3 squared minus 8, which means I'll have minus a half x minus 3 squared, and a minus is a plus 8, so minus a half x minus 3 squared, and 1 plus 8 is 9. So the question was, determine the maximum value. Why are they talking about a maximum value? This is a negative parabola. That means the maximum value will be my turning point. And where do I find the maximum value? From the y-axis. So that means my maximum value is at 9. That's for 5.5. Then 6, they say solve for x if f is x squared minus 2 inside the bracket and not just x anymore. So if I think about it, so 5.6, f of x we worked out is a half x minus 3 squared minus 8. Now they say instead of having f of x, I have to have f of x squared minus 2, which means instead of x, I'm going to have x squared minus 2. Okay, which means I can work that out. Inside, first I can simplify. So that's going to be x squared minus 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Okay, and that's minus 8. And what did they say to me? It is equal to 0. So this will be equal to 0. Now, I don't like working with the half, so I'm going to times by 2. So each term times by 2. So I get x squared minus 5 squared, and that will become minus 16. Do you notice this is difference between squares? So I will have x minus 5 in the first bracket and x minus 5 in the second bracket, plus 4 minus 4. So x will be equal to negative 1, or x will be equal to minus 9. Do I have that right? Oh, goody, that's an x squared. Apologies for that. I left out that square, so I'm just going to scratch that out. Sorry for that. So that means I have x squared, that is negative 1 equal to 0, or x squared minus 9 equal to 0, which means I have x is equal to plus or minus 1, and x is equal to plus or minus 3. Apologies for that. That happens if you leave out the square. And that is then the answers for question 5. I hope that you got that, and I hope that you understand it.